What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joseph, and welcome to Fictioning Flow. Today, we are coming with another episode of Comic Breakdowns. Today, we are looking at Storm #1, a new series from Storm. Let's get right into it. This story takes place after the fall of Krakoa, while all the X-teams have split up and done their own thing, but we haven't really seen Storm. She's jumped in the Avengers, but we haven't really seen her on her own. Now she's in her full-fledged solo adventure, so this is about to be a wild ride. We jump to a little introspective look at who is Ororo Munroe. She has been an exceptional pickpocket in the streets of Cairo. In Kenya and Tanzania, she was worshipped as a guard of the harvest and a larger-than-life personality. She has been the queen of Wakanda, the regent of Arakko, an X-Man, and even an Avenger. I also love how in these first two pages they are showcasing Storm's many outfits and changes throughout time and just giving you a little inside look at who she is. In case you didn't notice, Storm now has her own personal HQ, and I love the design of it. It's a tribute to her and her abilities and what she has done throughout the years. I cannot speak enough about Storm's new design. I love her hair. They finally got the curls right like a cloud. It has the Storm lightning in it, and her outfit is just on point. Storm has already been a lead up on the fashion in the Marvel Universe, so it is a perfect design for her new outfit to welcome her into her new era. This newly erected floating or even flying HQ is of Storm's design, and I love how they have all the environmental parts of it and how it's just owning its own as its own personal base without any help from anybody else. I'm curious as to who designed it or who built it, I would say, because I don't think Storm built it on her own, but I'm just loving the look of it, and it's a flying mobile headquarters. This story is told from the perspective of a journalist who's standing at the grand opening of Storm's new headquarters and reporting on what she possibly has planned, because she has this huge announcement. And she's debating, is it going to be a run for Congress? Is it going to be something else? And she's just kind of curious what Storm has to say. So we go back in time 7 days ago to see what transpired in Oklahoma that led to this base in the first place. We now jump to Storm and her fellow X-Men ally, Frenzy, heading to Oklahoma to try to help stop with this disaster. And this disaster reminds her very similarly to when Storm lost her parents with this big, earthquake or tornado that's happened and has wrecked the town. We have a memorable opening line from Storm with her saying that she is heartbroken by what has happened, but that's why she is here to perform miracles and help others. Storm is analyzing the scene and saying, I'm not sure why the streets are empty, like surely everybody can't be buried under this town. Frenzy offers to call in her X-Factor teammates and she's like, don't worry about it. Then the shockwave sits out and it's getting ready to hit them, and Storm like, I got this. And she kind of decimates this little Storm. Storm sees a family trying to hide from what's going on, and this reminds her of the day she lost her mom and dad when they protected her, and she became an orphan. So she says on this day, this orphan saves a family from the same fate. However, it's not over because another shockwave is incoming. Frenzy goes to help another family in need, but they see her and they are terrified, and she realizes they were members of Orchis, the people who actually were hunting down mutants in the age of Krakoa. But then Storm says, stop, snap out of it, Frenzy, we save everyone. And that's the thing, people. Storm has always been a diplomat no matter what. She's always fought for people and rights and justice. Next, we get this beautiful splash page of Storm and Frenzy saving everyone, and I just love it. But every time I hear Storm speak or I read of her in the comics, all I can think of is Allison Seeley Smith, the voice of Storm in X-Men 97 and X-Men 90 animated series. So this time we see another shockwave with two of them coming out with the exact same opposing force against each other, and they cease to stop. So Storm pulls up all her powers of the air and the molecules around her with such precision that she nullifies the threat. However, a sharp piece of branch from one of the surrounding flora sinks deep into her skin. I love how the narrator says this was the universe's first attempt at taming a storm. And of course, Storm cannot be tamed by anyone. If you pay close enough attention, you will witness many more acts like this until you see the one that finally succeeds. As you know, Storm is actually healing herself. She is so powerful. And I wonder what weather kind of manipulation she's using to do that. Storm now understands why the streets were empty. It's because of all these shockwaves that keep coming out and can damage people. So that's why people were hiding. And Frenzy kind of warns her, like, you need to stop because you need medical attention. But Storm totally ignores her and just flies off to go do her thing. As Storm approaches the eye of the shockwave, she notices what's going on around her, that saplings are forced to let go of their grip of Mother Earth, aquatic life floats lifeless from radiation exposure, innocent creatures have been turned inside out from the sudden rise in air pressure around them, and she despises everything that she sees in this moment that has wreaked havoc on the ecosystem. As Storm gets closer to the eye of the shockwave, she's pushed back by another shockwave, and Frenzy has to protect herself and the people around her by kind of doing a thunderclap burst and hold it back. And so Storm is kind of like, okay, you got something for me? Let's try this one more time. In an unfortunate turn of events, along with Storm's injuries, she has now been hit with a small form of radiation poisoning. So she goes to find a lead door to kind of help block some of that. So she does this, and then she heads inside this power plant where everyone believes that this shockwave is coming from this. They think that it's possibly some kind of experiment or something that has gone wrong. And the closer she gets, she is very shocked by what she sees when she reaches the core. Inside, Storm finds a crying mutant child surrounded by corpses, and he's saying, "I'm sorry, I can't stop myself." So it's like his powers must have just activated, and he's unable to control what is happening to him, and he wishes it to end. So I'm sure in this moment, Storm understands the fear of this new mutant, and she wants to try to help him as much as she possibly can. When Storm sees the child, he reaches out to her and says the more he tries to stop it, the worse it gets, and he begs her to end his life. But Storm is not one for just a quick, easy answer. She's like, "I know how this must possibly feel, and when the new abilities come out, manslaughter is not what you would think of." But Storm is not one for giving up. She has empathy, and she's able to reach the child and calm him back down and help him to stop releasing these shockwaves. We now jump to 3 days later, and we get a splash shot of what people are saying about what happened in this nuclear reactor. Some people say that the nuclear reactor went off and that it was because of some alien force that did it, some kind of kaiju, something like that. Others are saying it's because of like what we allowed this country to go to, the extraterrestrials, allowing all these mutants everywhere. That's the problem. And other people are saying like, we never had stuff like this in my country, so something is not right in America, even blaming the people themselves. And some people just don't want any answer at all. Like they use alien tech to help power the plant. That was the problem. We should have never got into it. And then others say it could be some kind of extraterrestrial threat. Like we certainly glad the mutant next door is our neighbor and that she was able to really help us. As we saw from the last panel, that the people at the nuclear power plant were using some kind of alien technology with this big face, and Iron Man is kind of like scanning it, trying to figure out what was going on, and he still doesn't understand. He's like, "I've read the scenario millions of times. I even got Reed Richards, Luella Lafayette, Forge, Riri Williams, and Shuri involved, and nobody can figure out where this stuff came from." And he's actually a little bit jealous of this, but he said, mutants have a good reputation right now after everything with Krakoa. Do you want to talk about this mutant that really ended up killing everybody? Because I don't think that would be such a great idea to put that out in the public. So Tony asked Storm to make a choice. Like, what are you going to do? You got to talk about what happened. Like, are you going to stay silent and let the mutants have this win? Or are you going to tell the truth and honor those that have been deceased? We now jump back to Storm at her press conference and like kind of getting ready to make this announcement. She says that, "I am Storm, I am mistress of the elements, and long have I been a member of the X-Men. I've worked with the Avengers, you know me." So she thanks everybody for what she's done. She talks about her goals and her dreams, and she first wants to give a little bit of solace and refuge to everyone and introduce them to the Storm Sanctuary, her mobile HQ. She said that this place is not only for mutants, but for humans, sorcerers, interplanetary immigrants, superhumans, gods, and everyone who calls the planet home to look upon their moments and be relieved, because Storm has made their skies her new home. So she's letting you know this is something that anyone can come to who is in seek of aid. So Storm then proceeds to let everyone know what really happened in Oklahoma. So everyone is kind of on edge to see what will happen, what she will say. And then she lets them know that that was the cause of a mutant coming into power and that it was uncontrollable, but it was a devastating act. And it was not the engineer's fault, it was actually the mutant. So Storms continues to speak in these heartfelt words, and you can tell that some people are not happy with her. Like their joy turns into hate, the love turns into fear. Storm has declared herself as Earth's protector and nurturer, and has fueled prejudice within humans and made its mutants the target of public disdain once again. So in her trying to do good and help and be honest, she's not only kind of helped some, but also hurt and put the target back on mutants once again. However, there's an incredible turning point. But beyond our planet, our solar system, and our universe, somebody else watches, and we see eternity, the being with no end and no beginning. And he has found her worthy. And he says, to me, my eternal storm. She is the new herald of eternity. I cannot wait for this to happen. I thought only Galactus had heralds. I didn't know that the elders of the universe could have heralds. And I can only wait to see what she does in this new role. Now, I think this is a future insight to what will happen. I don't think this will be like next issue. I think this is something that's going to happen along in the future. But I am here for the ride. So there you have it, people. Storm number 1, first issue. Hands down, one of the best Storm stories I've read in quite some time. And if you are like me, you need to go ahead and talk to your local comic shops and secure this book and put it in your box. And I will catch you next time. Peace.
What's up? What's up? We are talking about Fiction Ink Flow. What's up?
If you don't have it, you are truly missing.
Fiction Ink Flow. What's up? We are talking about Fiction Ink Flow. What's up?
If you don't have it, you are truly missing.
Fiction Ink Flow. What's up? We are talking about Fiction Ink Flow. What's up?